Well, good evening. Good evening. How's everybody? Welcome to Kingdom Atlanta Live. I am your host, your Chief Kingdom Ambassador, Cheryl Merritt, and we are on the last Tuesday of February, Black History Month. One time for my people. And I'm just so excited. So we're getting ready to just jump right in. I have some amazing guests with me tonight. I'm going to just introduce them. I'm going to start probably in the order in which I know these young ladies. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to bring everybody up and then I'll have them introduce themselves a little bit more and tell you about what they do. Okay. All right. So tonight's topic is grow something, right? It's time to get back in the dirt. We're seeing so many things with high prices, inflation, right? We're seeing food recalls, fake food, all kind of drama. So it's time to get back and grow our own. First up, I'm going to bring up Piper Brooks. Hi, Piper. Welcome to Kingdom Atlanta.
Hello, Cheryl.
Thank you. And then I will bring up Dee Dee Murray. Hi, Dee Dee.
Hi, Cheryl. How are you?
Great. And you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And now I'll bring up Ani Bethel.
Hi, Cheryl. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, Ani.
So Piper and I actually go back to high school and college, UGA, go dogs. And Dee Dee and I met when I started working with Organized Noise in the music industry back decades ago. And then Ani and I met at church decades ago as well. And I was just so intrigued by what these ladies have done, are doing, and what they will continue to do. But I wanted them to come on to share their wisdom. Now, you guys know me, and you know Kingdom Atlanta is all about the creator. And when we think about creation starting in the garden, right? That's, hey, let's get back to the beginning. Let's get back to basics. But I read Genesis 1:11-12, and God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And so it's good, right? These one interesting thing is that the seed is in itself, meaning that it will keep producing and keep producing. So let's get started and just kind of jump in. I had noticed that Piper is one of my Facebook friends as well. I had just seen her doing some gardening and reached out and asked her to be a guest on the show. And Piper, I kind of want you to start just talking about your journey briefly, and we'll get into a little bit more detail as we go throughout the show.
Well, for me, it's been generational. So my maternal and paternal grandparents always had gardens. And actually, my paternal great grandfather had cattle, he had pigs, and he had a garden. So for us, any family gatherings were always about farming and really, soil the table. So I cannot think of, especially with my grandparents, there was always something on our dinner plates that was actually from the garden. So my mother did it as well. And so for me, it's just been a part of the ecosystem, right? Just a part of my whole life. But I think after growing up, going away to school, my professional life has dealt a lot with, algorithms, systems integrations, hard facts, right? And so nowadays, with the invent of AI and analytics, it's not as challenge solution oriented, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've needed something to sort of ground me. And that's where I find my solace. It's bringing the outside in, it's the colors, it's the fragrances, it's the smells. And then here's the other thing, in terms of what you do for a living, if you practice it enough, you can master it, right? Because most times it's man-made. But for me, being outside, that's not created from me. The earth is not created of me. Germination and photosynthesis is not my process, right? So I can't master that stuff, which opens me up to being honest, being open-minded, being willing, to do and try the things. So it's also the lessons or life lessons that I gained from participating, in that kind of earth science. So that's the
Great,
gist of it.
great. Miss Dee Dee, what about you? Talk about your journey, your gardening journey.
Well, much like Piper, my journey is generational. Generational. Both my maternal and paternal grandparents had farms. My paternal grandfather was a freed slave in Orangeburg, South Carolina, and he built his family's house and had a very huge cotton farm. When I was a little girl, like 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way up till I was about 14 or 15, we would have to go to Orangeburg, South Carolina for the summers, and we'd have to use the outhouse. My grandmother would kill chickens. We'd have to feed the pigs. We'd have to get water from the well. We'd have to shuck the peas. I remember I have vivid memories of being on the tractor with my great grandfather, out in the cotton fields. On my mother's side, my grandmother loved flowers. She loved planting flowers. So I planted with her. She was my next door neighbor, my best friend growing up. Me and my grandmother, Mama Bill, we did everything together. We cooked together, all the things. And one of the things we did was plant together. So when I became an adult and had my own house, the thing that was most important to me was, where am I going to put my house and my daylilies, all of the things that I need to make my house a home, based on what my grandmother taught me, to be able to have fresh flowers that you can pick and put in your house. And so that's how it started. And then when I, became an adult and had my own kids and home, it became about not just flowers, but vegetables for sustainability. So I've always maintained a small garden with tomatoes and onions and all of the basic things, okra, corn, cabbage, all the herbs, lavender, lemon balm, lemongrass, mullein, thyme, basil, all the things. Before I even knew that I wanted to be an herbalist, I actually went to herbalism school to put some theory behind my passion, what I loved. I wanted to understand why I collected jars all my life. Like, I just always love to have all the jars. Like, I'm always saving the pickle jars, always saving the spaghetti jars, and I never knew why. And then when I became a herbalist, there was a reason. I had a need for all these jars, and all my things in my life just came together. So, so my garden is called Garden D Lovely. It has a hashtag Garden DELOVELY. You can follow it on Instagram. And I also have a digital herbal storefront called Sunchild Botanica. We're on Instagram and Facebook, as well as sunchildbotanica.com, in which I sell handcrafted herbal products.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I do.
Awesome.
My whole passion full circle. And
Yes.
still honoring my grandmother while I do it. So my grandparents.
There's a question, Dee Dee. Angelette says, where did you study?
I studied under Empress Karen Rose, with Sacred Vibes Apothecary out of Brooklyn, New York. They're online as well. You can Google or go on Instagram and search Sacred Vibes or Empress Karen Rose. She'll come up.
Oh, that's amazing, because Angelette's actually in New York. So look at that.
Oh, wow.
Her apothecary is in Brooklyn.
Oh, wow. Ani, what about you? Now, I talked about Ani because I first found out just that she was into gardening or fresh foods from a collective perspective. So, in your introduction, Ani, some kind of way, can you talk about that as well?
For the co-op.
Yeah, the co-op that we did.
So
But talk about your journey first into gardening.
sure. Okay. So my journey is really short and sweet. One day I was just like, I need to learn how to garden. And I remember seeing myself, you just have these grandiose ideas about wearing this sundress and you out and picking flowers and doing all these things. And so I ended up a going to this urban farm. I met this farmer,
Mm-hmm.
took me under his wing. His name was Moses.
Mm-hmm.
And he taught me everything. Like he taught me just you cannot pay for the things that I was able to learn within a short period of time.
Mm.
And then I just kept going after that. And he just said, I was like, well, he's like, you just need a willing heart. That's all. You just need a willing heart. Don't worry about killing anything. If it died, just grow it.
Yeah.
Just going. Don't give up. So that was the thing that I took with me. And out of that, I remember wanted to just provide more food for the community, doing more for the community with food, because just from a health standpoint, I knew I wanted to get my body together. So if I go in and buy some stuff, what if we all pitch in and everybody gets this large amount because we're all putting our money in to get this surplus of food, and we're all securing healthy food for our family. So that was the idea behind the co-op. And COVID hit, so it kind of slowed down, but I would love to get started again with that because it was just beautiful. People coming to pick up boxes and us talking and, just making different challenges for our health and being determined to do better and actually cook the food that we had at home as opposed to, that lettuce in the back of the refrigerator that end up going bad because you just sit, healthier foods for our family. So that was the goal behind that. But it's been a journey. It has.
So I'm really hearing a common theme about like it being more than just about the food for all of you. I hear family connection, I hear tradition, I hear just wanting to honor something that you felt you should be doing. I hear providing for your family or with Piper, even other people in your neighborhood, out of your surplus. And that's really one of the things too that Kingdom Atlanta is about, is this community. Like when we were doing the co-op with Ani, and I don't know, all of you know, but I'm a really picky eater and I don't really like a whole lot of vegetables. The older I get, I know it's important, but sometimes I go get stuff, I'll be like, Ani, you're gonna have to switch something out with that because that is not gonna get eaten at my house. So I'll be like, no, give me some more greens or something I like. And I'm really trying to do better. I really am. Like I even wore my like green top to show that I'm making a better effort. Like I'm so proud. I made a kale salad. I found the recipe for the Chick-fil-A kale dressing. I got the ingredients and it tastes just like it. So I'm like, okay. And so I'm really trying to be better. I talked to Piper also. I said, I want to see what I might be able to start with at my house, growing. And but that's just me. I know there are lots of people on here. I know people that love vegetables. I'm not to that point, but I need to, because I need to love my body and honor my body more with what I'm eating. And, you know, getting older and wanting to just be able to control more of what I put in my body. And so anybody can jump in here. Can you talk a little bit about how are you feeling now? Like with what's going on in society, with what we're hearing, with what we know about shortages or, you know, things that people can't get that they may want, and why it's important to kind of figure out how to have our own, you know, grow our own and be more self-sufficient in this area of instead of relying on, you know, big box supermarkets and things of that nature.
Well, I'll start. I would like to say that I'm glad that gardening is sexy right now and trending, and that people are doing it because it is necessary for our survival, for our sustainability, because there is going to be a time when things are not available. I mean, we see it now. Eggs are I'm seeing egg dealers on the internet right now. Like eggs is too the prices are high. And then the quality of the foods that we are seeing in the stores is not worth our hard-earned dollars. So
Mm,
it is the time now for us to be on trend and start growing our own food. We've been some of us have been doing it for a while, and it's been good, but now it's necessary.
yeah, that's it. Anybody else want to jump in on that?
I was going to say that because you spoke about the timing of it all, and I feel the urgency. Like in my head, everybody should have a garden. I don't care if
Mm-hmm.
you live in an apartment. I don't care. Whatever you have, you got a
Mm-hmm.
windowsill. Put your hands in that soil and get to work, because you're equipped to do it. Like this is nothing from a
Mm-hmm.
spiritual standpoint. This is nothing that is new. This is something that we were told to do.
Mm-hmm.
Get in there, cultivate this land, cultivate this soil, and grow your
Mm-hmm.
food. And this system that has been put into place for us, what a beautiful way to honor it. Like seed time and harvest. Like this is a system put in place just for us. So it doesn't just include spiritual things, but actually natural things. So God has put this system into place: the rain, the water, the sunshine, the soil, just for us to have food.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful way to just say, I hear you. I hear you, God. Let's do it. So I just think I absolutely agree with the urgency. And like Didi said, it is sexy. It can be appealing, but it's vital and it's necessary.
Yeah.
So to piggyback, Ani and Dee Dee, I like the way Dee Dee put it. And she said, she's glad that it's sexy now. But I think at some point, generations ago, it was a way of life. I mean, my great grandfather actually fed his family, his 7 kids, and his wife based off what he generated from the farm. But I
Right.
think that as we progressed, it wasn't as sexy, right? And, more people were getting educated. There were more companies, people were finding other jobs, and we just got away from the basics. I think that is really kind of common sense. I mean, if you think back the last 15, 20 years, one year tomatoes are great, the next year they're not, and different people will come out and
Mm-hmm.
say different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing is you've got more issues if you just watch your environment. I mean, you've got mental health issues. What is that connected to? You have more diseases. What is that connected to, right? So in addition to stress, it's just the food, right? And so if you start to, I've done a little research actually, and I've been looking up regenerative farming, and I actually found a place, and the guy describes a story of maybe in the late 1800s, it's kind of like a snake oil circus, right? And these salesmen would go around and they find farmers and they give them something in the bag and say, hey, take this, put it on the patch of grass, right? Don't look at it for 3 days. On the 4th day, go back and look. Well, you go back on the 4th day, you've got grass as tall as you. Well, nobody thought about, well, what's in that? It didn't rain. You know what I mean? We didn't have the chickens or the cows grazing through here where it's regenerative and normal, right? What's in that stuff to make it grow as tall as me? But what they thought about was the American way, capitalism, right? The quicker this grass grows, the more my cattle eat, right? The quicker we get them to market. And that got the ball rolling. And then we ended up with these big shops. So it's common sense if you just think about it, right? And then it's just tasting the food. If you taste something that is organically grown for real, that you know is organically grown, just a tomato even.
Yes.
If you taste that and you go to the grocery store and get one, right? Totally different taste. So you remember it from when you were growing up. Or you take something from a garden, Anna, you get something from the co-op that you go to, right? You put that in the refrigerator and then you get one from the grocery store, put it right next to it. In 2 days, the one from the grocery store is dead and gone, right? But the other one is still there. And you have to wonder, like, what's happening here? So if you pay attention to your surroundings, right?
Yeah.
It kind of lends to, what do I need to do to better take care of me and my family? Because convenience makes it real easy not to depend on the basics. Right? So
that's good. And I was thinking too, because I was doing a little studying before this, and I never noticed the language. I'm looking at my notes. So give me 1 second. It was when in Genesis chapter 2, verse 8, and the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden. And I never noticed that it said planted a garden. I just thought, well, he spoke it. But it says the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden. And then when we look at the Proverbs 31 woman, where she considers a field and buys it, right? With the fruit of her hand, she plants a vineyard. So all these references are in the word. And when we look at, so I don't want to keep dwelling on where we are now. I want you guys to kind of talk a little bit about why it's so important for you individually. Like, how do you feel when you're in your space and place of tending to the earth, of gardening, or seeing the fruits of your labor? Like, what does that feel like? And then after that, I want you all to kind of give tips on how we can get started if we want to get started. Dee Dee, you want to go first?
I'll start. Gardening for me is very therapeutic. I'm my most happiest when I'm connected to the earth. I just got out my garden right before we came into this live session, as I'm starting to build my flower beds for our spring planting. So it's therapeutic when I'm feeling depressed or sad. The first thing that I turn to is the earth, and it connects me with the creator. This is natural nature, like the way that we dig into the soil and we tend to our roots, we nourish our soil, and so that our roots will grow, and we just everything all about the flowers of the decomposition of the leaves and the compost that we create from our food cuttings. It's all just the way that we live. We transition, we go through our decomposition, and then we regrow. I mean, it's Genesis. It's Genesis right before our eyes.
Wow.
And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to see, because you see nature at work. You see Mother Nature at work. You see it all happening. And then when you get your harvest, you work hard, you go through the turmoil, because it's not easy. Gardening is not an easy thing. It looks cute on camera, but it's not easy, because you got to
No.
get out there, you got to water, you have to nourish your soil, you have to know that how to fertilize, you have to know how to make sure, things are in place, you have to do pest control. And
Mm.
it's a testament. It is it's a labor of love, because
Yeah.
when harvest time comes, you'll reap the reward for your hard labor.
Mm.
If you don't reap a reward from your hard labor, you learn a good lesson. And you go back and you start again. You plant something different.
Okay.
So yeah, it's love. It's love. It's to me, it's the demonstration of true divinity.
Wow.
Mm,
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
That's-
mm,
Wow.
It's what God is.
mm,
Mm.
mm.
We
Yep.
didn't know, get in the
Now
dirt,
you do.
Yep.
Oh,
grow
that's
something.
beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
What about you, Piper?
Um, well, for me at this stage in my life, I really want to be who God intended for me to be. And in order for me to do that, I have to be right, mind, body, and spirit. So I practice my routine is to get up in the mornings, winter, spring, fall, summer. I walk the garden because I've realized that it's like a walking meditation for me. My
Mm.
mind will go blank. And I think in order to be the best that I can be in any moment or any day,
Mm-hmm.
I have to quiet my mind at some point, right? Because the world is rapid.
Yeah.
We've got all of these devices. Uh,
Mm.
the television has one story, two stories, 10 stories. It can be all disturbing. So, in order for me to be who God intends for me to be, I have to be grounded.
Mm.
And the place that I find that for me is in the garden.
Yeah.
So, and it's the process of it. It's
Mm-hmm.
not, and I think Dee Dee alluded to this. It's not easy work, but it's the process of it too. Um, it's not manufactured. It's real, and the
Mm-hmm.
things that you go through, or that you learn,
Mhm.
right, about the soils and the plants and the pests and the deer, right?
Mhm.
um
The
it just
squirrel.
keeps you to meet the squirrels, the
Yes.
what the horn the little horn bugs on the tomatoes.
Woo!
I
Yes.
mean, that's all real, and it
That-
keeps me grounded in reality, right? So for
Mm-hmm.
me, that means that. And
Mm.
then the other thing I
Good.
tend to do too is including my mother and my grandmother in particular. Like some of the flowers that I grow, like my amethyst, with the purple blooms.
Mm-hmm.
Some colors are just stress relievers for me. Like for
Mm.
right now, for some reason, greens and blues are just my vibe, right? And if I see that, it just kind of, woosahs me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's about grounding, is staying vested in reality, because stuff is going to happen. Life is going to happen. But what's important to me is how I respond to it.
Mm.
And if I do that in a way that God intends for me to do that, then I'm okay. And anybody that I interact with in that process will be okay too. So that's all I know how to do. Shopping doesn't do it for me,
Mm-hmm.
because that's material stuff, right? That's
Yeah.
external to
Uh-huh.
me and my heart, right?
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, it may sound crazy to some people, but I can be in a conversation, hear some things that might not sit well. I go plant my feet in the grass,
Mm-hmm.
take the dogs out, and have a totally different attitude when I come in. So, for me, it's just really about that whole ecosystem, because for my job, I'm home most of the time because it's easy in technology to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to have that in my space. So whatever's outside, I got a house full of plants. I bring that outside too, as little
Mm-hmm.
staples of reminders of what's real and what plan I really need to be focused on, right?
Yeah.
And asking for direction with that plan. So I don't know if that makes sense to anybody else, but for
Yes.
me,
Mhm.
it keeps me in a to your point, Didi, I guess a divine or a better place.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Good. What about you, Ani?
I think same for me. Just the connection to nature, connection to like once you get outside, it just changes my perspective on things.
Mm.
And being out in the sun, working with the weather, working with the rain, working with all these different elements, just does so much for me spiritually. I've learned a ton of lessons, and the garden has just really sometimes is a reflection of me. So it just kind of it really is. It's like when I go outside, and if I haven't been outside in a minute, it's like, oh my goodness, I forgot to water something, you know? And then I
Mhm.
end up going
Mhm.
outside, and it's just like, okay, where am I mentally? Like, just checking myself constantly. But I love the fact that I'm able to garden because I learned so much. I learned so much about life. I learned so much about faith. Like, who you put a seed in the ground, right? You don't see what that seed is doing while it's in the ground. You don't know.
Right.
You're only just, my hope is for tomorrow. My hope is
Mhm.
go outside, I'll see something planted. Those are the same things that I apply to my life. When things feel, it's like, okay, I'm going to release my faith for a particular situation, but I'm not going to sit there and watch it. I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to move on. That's the same thing I do in my garden. Like, my hope is
Mhm.
for to see this beautiful flower. That's the end result. That's it. And all the other elements that are involved, that doesn't have anything to do with me. It's just watching that seed get into the ground, the rain coming, the
Mhm.
storm coming. They might come and knock stuff over. You got to go outside and adjust it. The beetles come like a storm, and they'll try to tear your stuff up. But it's just knowing how to bounce back, knowing how to strengthen yourself. It really does
Mhm.
translate to my actual daily life. So
Mhm.
that to me is just like such a gift, you know?
Excellent, excellent. This is amazing. Dee, can you talk about why you thought it important to learn about herbs?
Sure. Well, first of all, I'm a cancer survivor. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2013. And one of the things that I had to do was change my diet, change everything about everything that I was doing, and utilizing herbs as a source of survivorship to maintain good health was one of the things that I know that I needed to do. So instinctively, I tapped into herbalism again because it was putting theory to my passion, but also just learning what I could do naturally to support myself and also help others along the way. I consider myself a community herbalist in that I provide services and solutions to people's concerns with regards to their health around me. I want to be a source, a resource for those that need my help, and
Mhm.
that's why I grow some of the herbs that I have to use in some of my herbal remedies. So it's again, it's a necessity. It's what I had to do in order to survive, and
Mhm.
in order to be a sustainable part of my community. It's great to make records and know how to do film in my profession. It's real
Mhm.
cool and stuff, but to be a resource for the community and support it through natural remedies is my purpose, is what I'm here to do. It's my ancestral path. I feel it in my soul. It's what
Mhm.
my when I work with herbs and when I'm in the soil and when I'm planting, I can hear my ancestors. I can feel them happy for me. I can feel them working with me, and even guiding me along the way and telling me, "Girl, you messing that up, that ain't gonna grow." But it's just a way to give reverence, to
Yeah.
their their work, their commitment
Yeah.
to to making this place a better, making this place good for us,
Yeah.
and our commitment to sustaining it. The more we use the dirt and the earth, the more it will work for us. It's when we underutilize it is when it dies. So it's our responsibility to utilize the soil, to strengthen it, to nurture it, to put the nutrients back in it, and use it for its proper, for what it was supposed to do, and that is feed us. It's our source of nourishment.
Wow. I never even thought about that part of it, Dee Dee. That's amazing. This is I'm definitely going to go back and listen to this. If you see me looking over, I'm taking notes on stuff that's really resonating with me, because it's amazing how things will just come out and everything adds on top of something else that somebody shared. Piper, can you talk a little bit about, I know you're saying this is like for you and Dee Dee, this is generational, but I want to ask you, how did you start at your home now, deciding, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do this, and I also want you to talk a little bit about how you, like, how does it feel? And Ani, I'm gonna ask you this part too. Well, all of you could probably answer this. Like, how does it feel even being a source of information and a source of food for other people? Like you talked about, giving your extra to some neighbors, and Ani, even with the co-op and that type of thing. And Dee Dee, back to you, after Ani, about just how you wanted to share what you learned to help others because you understand the benefit of it. And I want to get into these last maybe 15 minutes about like kind of tips on how to get started, but I did want to ask you that first, Piper.
All right. If I remembered all that, I'm getting old, girl. So first of all, I had the space to do it like I wanted to do it, and I had the time, right? So that I could cultivate it. And I think in terms of, it's a sense of accomplishment, I think, when you can just plant something, nurture it as you should, sometimes as you should not. And the end result of that is a harvest. And it's exciting, right? Or you get for me, for instance, I was trying to grow this amethyst over my she shed to come out on the other side. And so it's trial and error, but you make some progress. Is just a really good feeling. So when I share it with the neighbors, it's just good in general to be of service. And I think, tonight, here I go, because Dee Dee said something. I think anytime, because I'm a cancer survivor too, I'm 7 years out. And not that I didn't think this way before, but I think anytime you are confronted with something that is life threatening, because sometimes the answer is death. And so time becomes ageless. And you really start to understand how to prioritize life, and if this is the end, how do I want to be remembered? What's important? And it's well, not for everybody, because you still got self-will, but I'm just saying, for me, it wasn't I think I was already on the path, but it was a shift. Or you get things like from chemo, Dee Dee, I don't know if you went through that, but it shuts you down. And the things that you were capable of doing, you're not so capable anymore, right? So if it took you, 30 seconds to walk outside to the garden. It might take you an hour. You might have to sit down, right? So time becomes precious. So how do you want to spend it moving forward? What cheer do you not only want to bring to yourself, but how do you want to share that with others? So there are other things you could do, but that just became a part of it. So to take it next door to my neighbor and to see her light up, or to come back and tell me about the gumbo she made with the okra, right? It's just good. And then you keep doing it, and then they start calling you. So like, I know now I gotta get ready for this spring garden, honey, because they're like, listen, when are we gonna have our Easter's coming? You think we're gonna have, but it's a connectedness, right? And it just gets you outside of yourself. It's just a better way of living. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. No, that
Okay.
was really good. Ani, any last thoughts on that part?
No, I totally agree. I just think
Mm-hmm.
that it feels good to share, and like it's just the natural order, I think, of life. Like, you know, receive,
Mm-hmm.
you give, you those things feel good. And putting a bouquet together, putting a nice little box together for your neighbor, things that you put love into and giving it to them so they're able to benefit from it. Like, I just don't know what feels better than that. I honestly don't. Like, I could think about all the things I could buy and all the things I have, but you really have to experience it in order to really kind of see what we're saying.
Yeah.
But it's just, it feels so good. Like, all I can say is just it feels really good, and I feel fulfilled. Like, I feel like, man,
Mm-hmm.
like this is it. So
Ani, what is Blueprint Society?
okay, so I'm starting a garden club newsletter.
Okay.
So that's what it is. So
Okay.
and I'm gonna latch on those other components as far as the co-ops are concerned. Once I can figure out who got the goods and if I
Mm-hmm.
at a better price based off of what we got going on now. But yeah, it's a garden club and that I'm starting, and I'll start with a newsletter, just sending something out, or a mood board, or something every month just to inspire
Okay.
gardening tips for growing flowers and growing house plants from seed, and
Okay.
different things like that. So,
Okay. And Dee Dee, what's the impetus behind the name of Sunchild Botanica?
We're children of the sun. I mean, we can't survive without the sun. I'm just like a sunflower. I
Mm-hmm.
without the sun we wither and
Mm-hmm.
wither away. So it just came naturally to me because we have a sun inside of us, our solar plexus. There's a
Mm-hmm.
sun in the sky, and then
Mm-hmm.
there's a sun at the core of the earth. So the suns connect us, the
Mm.
cosmos, to the earth, to ourselves.
And Piper, stem gone gardening. That's like, okay, I love it.
So to most people, that's like two opposite sides of the brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
But really, it's not. Well, based on, I mean, I graduated 1,000 years ago, before it was sexy, Dee Dee, right?
Me
And,
too.
right? And before it was sexy in computer science, right? And so that's a whole nother world, right? And it's algorithms, it's challenges, and it's solutions, and and
Mm-hmm.
it's getting away from that a little bit today, but that's another podcast. um so for me, it was, as I said before, it was just a way to get away from, to do things that, not that I don't love it, but I'm just saying, to do things that I love, that I enjoy, that
Mm-hmm.
bring me happiness, that keep me grounded so that I can be the best person I can be, right? um and so that's why we just said stem gone gardening, because it's the first thing I do when I get up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right before prayer and meditation. And usually it is the last thing I do before it gets dark, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a part of the whole little paper ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're going to shift these last few minutes. So I want to start a garden. Okay. I want to grow something. I realize I have a lot of trees in the back. I don't get a whole lot of sun, but then sometimes it does look like there's some sun. And then I'm not fenced in. And then the other day, or not the other day, a few times, Bambi, Bambette, Bambiana, and Bamboo traipse through the yard,
Dolita.
back across the street. And I'm like, oh my God. So now I'm like, if I do garden, how am I going to keep Bambi and crew? Like, it's just so many thoughts. So I'm probably going to have all of you over here at one time to say, okay, this is what you need to do. But I do want to start somewhere. I mean, I know you said that there are some things that you can do maybe inside to start, or maybe just in this corner, or I want to start small. I mean, I love collard greens. I might not be able to do collard greens, but
Right.
I want to start.
You got a patio?
Yeah.
I do have a patio,
Okay.
but it's yeah.
Is it closed in?
No,
No.
it's like a deck.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, you got some old planters around the house, like ceramic planters, or even do you have a old clothes hamper?
Yeah,
You got some potatoes that are spudding eyes right now?
I just
You
cut
got some
them up
old
and
potatoes
ate
in the
them.
cabinet? Because we can get you
Made
started
some-
with the easiest thing you can grow, and that is some potatoes, some old potatoes that are right there spudding in your kitchen, which
Oh
is
wow.
what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet potatoes.
Yeah, you got
And I'm doing that with some ginger, actually.
yeah, if you got some ginger, you got some green onions, some scallions.
I got some of that. Yeah.
Okay, well, you got you a garden. You got you some
Oh.
tomatoes.
But what I'm gonna put it in?
You put what you could put
In the bucket?
no, you could put the scallions in. You got a shot glass? Because I know you don't drink. I know you got shot glasses.
I
Get the
do.
shot glass. Cut the stem of the little scallion off. Put it in a little water and change the water every day, and make sure that it's not covering the bulb, and you'll start seeing some scallions shoot out. That's just the beginner part, but you got to change the water every day. You got to look at it. You got to give it some attention. You got to tell it how cute it is when it's growing, and give it some love. And
give it a name. Give it a name. Give it a name.
You know,
a cute name like Scally, not Scallywag, but Scally.
Yeah.
And then
like what, Scally like Wag ain't got no hair in the back. No, we're not doing that.
And then Cheryl, you got to watch your sun too, so that you know if it's north, east, west, stuff like that. You kind of keep up with. So as you progress with this, if you want to advance, and then I saw where somebody said something about a 5-gallon.
But
but something, then you figure out where's the best place to sit it, whether if it's going to be a little tiny, summer garden, or if it's going to be a winter garden, right? That kind of determines what you're going to grow. But I think Dee Dee had some good ideas for you to just start even in the house.
Okay.
With the scallions. Yeah.
Yep. So we're in zone 8A. So it's still kind of chilly for us. So what I'm doing right now is starting seeds in my kitchen. My kitchen table is now my seed sowing table. And I have 2 little incubators with grow lights on them that I got off of TikTok.
Yep.
And starting my whole garden.
Some grow lights.
Yeah, they got these little garden. They got these little seed starting kits on
I can't just use this.
No.
No.
Go to TikTok and order the little seed starting kits before they run out.
Okay.
And you can plug it up, get you some dirt. But you got to make sure, like when you're doing seed starters, you got to have the right type of dirt mixture. To start my seeds, I use cocoa core, perlite, and some worm castings. Mix it all together, make sure it's real wet, pack it down, put my seeds in there, put my, wet it real good, put the cover on, put the lights on, and let it get humid and start seeing, like a terrarium
The
effect.
germination.
Yeah,
worm casting like the worms you fish with.
It's just dirt. It's I don't know why they call it worm castings, because it's just some wet black dirt.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you got to mix it all together, but you got to pay attention to your germination rates and when it's time to harvest. So some things germinate in like 7 to 10 days. That's when the seeds will start growing, and you'll see some little stuff coming out.
The ones that are that's what I would just add to that was just when I first started off, I was doing 4 to 5 days germination because I wanted to be successful. I want to be discouraged. So it took longer. I kind of stayed away because when you first starting off, I was buying every seed I could buy, but I would get those seeds and not know what to do with them. So I would on the back of the packet, and it said 4 to 5 days germination. I pulled them up and I just and read the whatever the packet told me to do. That's what I did. But I would definitely try something that's like really easy, because you want to build up your confidence to be like, all right, I'm gonna, keep going. You don't want to do things that are kind of tough first, and you kind of lose your ground.
Do some garden beans first. Garden beans are real easy.
And then Dee Dee, what about how long do you, because I know I'm starting mine too in my pantry, and I'll read the packet and it may tell me like how many days or whatever, but I still look, if they look too skinny and too frail, I'll let it go a little bit longer. And then I've been transferring them to like another smaller pot and maybe put it on the upstairs patio so it gets more sun before I take. So talk a little bit about your experience with do you literally go from, your seedlings out to the garden, or are you transferring them somewhere else before you put them out?
Well, that's where that's where your success and your failure rate comes in, because if you put your seedlings out before they're looking like the one at Home Depot, you're not gonna have a good success rate. So I try to wait for my seedlings to actually look healthy, and if they're a little leggy, I just kind of either hill them up until they can get stronger stalks. But hilling them up or either sticking them a little bit further down in the ground, that could damage it. So I would just prefer to build the soil up around the seedling until it becomes a plant. And then when you get ready to transfer it outside, you have to kind of be careful. You got to train the plant to go outside. So you got to give it like some sunlight, like I put it in a carport for a little while, and then I have a shady area. I'll let them go hang out over there before they actually go in to the ground in the bed that they're supposed to go in, which is a full sun bed. And then you also have to pay attention to which plants get full sun, which plants are partial sun, because that which plants like moist dirt, which plants like dry dirt, because you have to also kind of plant those types of things together so that, you got a dry bed over here, you got a real wet bed over here, you got a little a medium bed over here. So you have to know what you plant with what that likes the same type of soil. And then you also have to do companion planting around the plants too, to make sure, like if you have tomatoes, you got to know that tomatoes and cucumbers don't get along. They're like the Hatfields and the McCoys. They'll kill each other. So you got to plant like tomatoes with basil. You got to know that you can put chives all around your garden to help with pests. Marigolds are also good to put in the garden.
Marigolds,
companion plants.
So what about what's your, because so for the deer, all of a sudden they've discovered my garden and they wore me out last year. So I'm trying to figure out an organic way, because the garden is not fenced in or closed off. So I've been thinking, y'all, about feeding them in one area. And if I do that, maybe they won't come over to the garden. Right?
What are you going to feed them?
I'm trying to figure that out. I'm researching, because I've seen some stuff on Instagram where some people were doing it and they said it was it was working. But I mean, I don't know until I try it, right?
I don't
Because
know.
but they won't wait long enough. If I go outside, they'll stop and they'll look, right? But I start just easing, and then they just take off.
So what about
So
a
I don't know.
scarecrow? An old-fashioned scarecrow?
Does it really work?
I don't know. I mean, it worked back in the day for something.
It worked for a little while.
And it's kind of like you got a whole full-fledged farm going on out there. Like I got a garden, so my flower bed is close to my house, so the deer ain't coming close to the house.
Well, yeah, we've got some forestry around us, girl.
Yes,
They're coming. So, but you know what? I'm gonna let y'all know, because there are some farmers around here that have these, like, for real full-on gardens. And I haven't seen the scarecrow, but what bothers me is there's stuff that you can put around it, but I don't think it's organic. And that worries me, because I don't want anything that's not, I don't want no pesticides and nothing getting into, getting into the garden. So if y'all come up with something on that one, let's talk about it, because I want to be friends with the deer and I don't mind feeding them, but I just don't want them eating my food.
And I'm worried that if you start feeding them in your yard, then they're going to bring their friends and they're all going to be over there. And then they're going to eventually, when you're away and you can't feed them, then they're going to go over to where the food source is. So that kind of worries me.
So that's another thought. So anyway, we need to collectively put our heads together on this and figure this out.
And I see my friend Charlie, he's saying sometimes
chimes work.
Chimes.
Right.
Okay. Just noise.
Well,
noise.
That's a good
but see, I have a camera outside, and sometimes when the alarm goes off, and then I'll say, "Hey," through the camera. All they do is stop and freeze.
What about like those electric barriers, like an electric dog fence or something? You know how they have those invisible fences? Even though I know you don't want to hurt the deer, but I think it keeps them from coming in the area.
We'll research it.
I mean, I don't know.
Charlie, if you got some more suggestions, let us know as well.
Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah,
that
was a great
suggestion.
Yeah. And I had one other question, Angelette, who's in Brooklyn, by the way, too, Dee Dee. So she's gonna look up your girl. But she was asking, can she grow ginger in a Brooklyn apartment? How does she grow ginger?
You can start
in a window, maybe.
Start.
I started mine in a jar of water first, and then I'm gonna wait until and the little eyes are sticking up, and then I'm gonna wait until I've got full plants like we were just talking about, and then take them outside. So start it.
Just try it.
Try it.
Are any of y'all familiar with the hydroponic stuff in the house?
Yeah, I bought a little discovery kit from Marshall's. I was in the toy section and I bought this little planter kit, and it's a hydroponic like seed thing. So I've got like some lettuce growing in some hydroponic pods right now.
Yeah.
It's just 2 of them. I'm just trying it out. But I've seen people with those towers and all the chemicals and stuff. That's too much.
Yeah.
For me anyway.
Like I would try, like I probably would grow like some herbs or lettuce in there, because you don't want anything that you gotta like if it grows a bloom out,
you gotta make it have sex. You don't want to do that.
I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm more about the birds and the bees and all the other stuff and the wind blowing, you know. Because all of that is a part of that process, right?
Gotcha.
And you're gonna taste the difference. You'll yield a higher harvest. It's a lot different than it growing at least outdoors. But if you're gonna do it, definitely I would do like anything green or any type of herb that to grow. I think those would be good things to grow out of there.
Yeah. Okay. And then the
and
other
thyme
thing
and rosemary are easy. Thyme and rosemary are 2 easy things,
rosemary
right?
Is easy.
And if you cook and it's good for your seasonings, that might be something. Because my rosemary has even lasted through, and it's been pretty cold in Atlanta, right? It's lasted through the winter.
Yeah, I've had my rosemary bushes just died, but they lasted for 8 years.
Really?
They transitioned last harsh winter.
Wow.
I had to have a funeral for him and everything. But what I was also going to suggest is that, I know everybody is, things are tight, but you can get plants and seeds with your EBT card. Like, don't play. Like, there are things that you can do.
Yeah.
You can buy seeds with your EBT card. You can go to the grocery section and
Yeah.
buy the little basil plants over there by the fruit and stuff with your EBT card. If you have that resource available to you, you can start a garden. There is no excuse. If money ain't we can grow something.
Yeah.
We can grow something, even if it is from food that's in your refrigerator already.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
everybody can start where they are right now.
No, this has been excellent. This is wow. I'm excited now. I'm ready to grow something.
Call me Cheryl. I'll walk you through it.
Oh, okay. And Charlie, you just got all kind of information. Local extension office
Yes.
gives away free seeds.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yes, they do. Yep.
Okay, that's good to know. All
Yep.
right.
The UGA extension office, they have them in every county.
Okay.
Oh,
So we
good
need
to know.
get on that.
Yep. And then also the Farmer's Almanac, almanac.com is a great resource. Just for everything. I get a newsletter from them every day, but almanac.com has a lot. That taught me how to do my seed soil, all kinds of things. That's a great resource.
And then it'll help you also with the zone. I know we're in 8A if we're in, Georgia, but other people in Brooklyn and other places are different zones. So it helps to know what zone you're in order to grow certain foods during certain times.
And don't be discouraged if there's something for your zone and it doesn't work out for you. Because I've been trying to do a lemon tree for the last 6 years, and I may have gotten look at Dee. I may have gotten 4 lemons, but
that's
just
good.
just over off of Cascade Road, a girlfriend of mine, her mom planted a lemon tree decades ago. And when I tell you she can harvest like enough lemons for a grocery store, now how is that happening?
Wow.
Right? So if you see something for your zone and it doesn't work out for you, then maybe you move it to another place, around the house, because sometimes it's a lot of this is trial and error.
Yeah, and different areas have different types of soil. You might have rocky soil in one area. You might have clay soil. You might have what they call loamy, sandy soil in another area. You just kind of like Piper said, you got to just figure out where the plant is happiest. You have to study. You have to live with them. You have to talk to them. And one of the things that somebody that told me that I think really works is when you talk to the plants, they get your breath, they get your oxygen, and that helps them grow. And I noticed when I went away, I go to Jamaica at the end of the year every year for a reset. My plants were just wilting. They were unhappy. When I got home and started talking to my babies and started watering them and feeding them, they're all like having parties in their pots right now.
No, parties in the pots.
They're so happy their mama is home. But they have feelings. They're real living organisms.
They are.
That's amazing. So like if I live in zone 4, that's what y'all talking about, zone?
No.
Zone 4?
If you live in Red Rock, you might have clay, rocky soil. Stone Mountain got granite.
Right. I know, I was just kidding. Okay. Well, so to my viewers tonight, this has been an amazing show. To my guests, thank you all so much for sharing this wealth of information. I think we're going to have to do part 2, maybe after I get a little something growing, and we can come back and I can get some more advice and we can have more people asking questions. I got some people in the comments that were definitely asking a few questions. So thank you all for answering that. So y'all. Now the people, my guests are already growing something. What are the rest of us going to do? Are we going to continue to be a slave to the grocery store man or or inflation and all kind of other drama going on, are we going to get back to this dirt and grow something? So that's my challenge to all of us, to myself. Whatever I got to do, I love that you say I can start small with stuff that I have already in the house. If I hadn't eaten that, cut up that sweet potato, make me some sweet potato fries the other day, I'd had some blood things because they were showing up coming on. I was like, let me get this thing. Dang, I should have kept.
You snapped them off and ate your sweet potatoes. Girl, you
Yep.
that thing up and had 20 sweet potatoes.
God dog
Yep.
it. Now.
But now you know. Now
I
you know. You know. Now you know.
Yep, but I do have the what's the other thing? The scallion in there, so I can do that. What you told me, and so I am just so excited, y'all. Also, for you all to just share your testimony of healing as well and your journey that way, because I know that's important for so many of us as well. And it's not generally talked about or shared, but I'm just grateful for you all sharing your testimony. So thank you, Piper. Thank you, Dee Dee. Thank you,
Thank
Annie.
you.
We are going
Nice
to
to
support
meet y'all, Dee Dee and Annie.
Yeah, nice meeting y'all too.
Look
And
good.
I have a season for nails. I'm out of my nail season because I play in dirt. So I get my nails done in the winter and not the spring or summer because it's a waste of money.
Well, I don't ever get my nails done, so I can play all year, whatever I need to do, because yeah, this is it. But I am going to let you ladies retire to the green room, and I'll end the show and be back with you in just a few. Once again, thank you so much, Piper.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Thank you so much, Dee Dee. And thank you so much, Annie. And I need some tea from you. Whatever that stuff you used to, that tea. I'll talk. We'll
Okay.
talk.
Let me know.
So, you guys, thank you so much for being a part of Kingdom Atlanta tonight. This was a really great show. Look, go to my website. You can find out more information at kingdomatlanta.com. I've said this every week. It's going to be updated, but it is what it is right now. kingdomatlanta.com. I need some subscribers to my YouTube channel now. Just go on over there if you haven't gone yet and subscribe. Look me up. It's another couple of Cheryl Merritts. Now, somebody somewhere, it's a lighter hue Cheryl Merritt, but you know what I look like. Make sure you're signing up to the right Cheryl Merritt, okay? You know what I look like. Don't be playing and giving nobody else my subscriptions. And then you can follow Kingdom Atlanta on IG and Facebook. And I think that's it. You know me. I'm Cheryl, your Chief Kingdom Ambassador. Look, being honest, this show ain't free. If you'd like to sow into Kingdom Atlanta and future shows, this is my Cash App, Creator and Me, LLC. If you have my phone number, because I'm not going to put it on this live or this screen, because folk be calling and putting you on lists and stuff, you can also Zelle me. And Kingdom Atlanta gives back to the less fortunate. If you know my story about my birthday a few years back and how I just kind of flipped the money that people sold into my life to help those that were less fortunate, and what a big blessing that was. And this is Kingdom. My guest talked about community. Right now, if I said, Piper, I need some food, I know I can go to Piper's house and get some food. If I said, Dee Dee, I need some herbs and some food, some, like, we're going to crumble in herbs, like when we was back with Outcast days. We're going to crumble some herbs, Dee Dee. Get me a pack of herbs to crumble and put in my food. I can get it. I know I can. If I say, Annie, I need to go into the farmer man and Moses and tell Moses to come to my house and show me what to do, or help me figure this out, or get me a box of food, and I'm gonna tell you what I like and what I don't like, and make sure my box got exactly what I want. I can do that. So y'all, this is serious now. Seriously, in all seriousness, this is not a game. It is time to get back to the dirt. All right, so I'm going to let you have your night back. And going to unwind and end the show. But thank you all and have a great night. I'll be with my guests in the green room chatting it up. Blessings, peace, and love. Grow something.